Thank you for listening to Scandinavian Crimes Podcast. Be sure to check out the episode links and be part of our other social media platforms where you can leave a topic suggestion or even share some of your insights regarding the subject matter of the episode. We'll always do our best to provide a well-researched episode, but sometimes due to limited access, translation issues, and inconsistent evidence between multiple sources, there can be information that's lost. It is therefore good to do your own research and get a deeper understanding of a case of your own interest. So with that all said, let's start today's episode.
Welcome to Scandinavian Crimes. My name is Devante, and say hello to my lovely co-host, Delila.
Hi.
And on this podcast, we talk about famous Scandinavian criminals who made their mark throughout Scandinavian history. So by the title of this video, by the title of this episode, I'm pretty sure you can tell what's going on. And obviously, it's probably a little sooner than later for a lot of people who have been here since the beginning. But throughout this episode, we will explain and kind of go over the things and reasons why. But don't be sad. It's not really like we're disappearing. Just we have to adjust and pivot. Obviously, the world is changing and things are just taking place in the world that just makes, things more difficult. But we'll get into those details. But I'll let Delila start it off for us.
So I just want to say, yay, final episode. Woo, pods. Isn't that lovely? We finished this season with a
insert applause.
Insert applause. So formal. We did it. We finished our third season. This was an incredible journey. A lot of fun things and improvements from the second season. And I would say that I feel my confidence have definitely increased. I was very anxious and stuttering so much. I still stutter. I still have issues speaking, and I'm thinking and translating in my brain as I'm speaking, which makes me buffer sometimes. But I feel like the discussions are more interesting and very relaxed, which I wanted it to be. And I think also both you too, Devante, wanted it to be more like relaxed and to have interesting topics rather than like the first and second season where I feel like, they were okay, but I feel like this season was like really interesting cases and really interesting discussions as well.
Mm-hmm. Things that were very, as I would say, not debatable, but things that just had a little bit more depth to it, where it wasn't just so cut and dry. There was a lot of things you could try and figure out about the case even after it's either been solved or unsolved. So yeah, it was more enjoyable cases in my opinion. That's why every episode I just kept saying this is still going to be an interesting case.
You said it every episode. I'm like, oh, okay. And I feel like that also could be because the case variety is a lot better in this season. We had like a mixture of like really old cases, very modern cases. It was a good mix of all of them, which made us see like different scenarios and different ways to handle situations. And we also had a lot more unsolved cases this season. A little bit going back to how it was like the first season. We had like a lot of old cases and new cases. Like it was a better mixture from the first season, I feel like. And I'm glad that we went back to that because I feel like it's very interesting. And to explore and discuss like societal changes and influences of these cases and how it's changing. And I also learned a lot more history, but also things that I'm like, I wonder how these things work. For example, with the whole like statute of limitation thing, I was like, well, it makes sense. The murder shouldn't be like off limits just because it's been like 15 years. But that's just me being a little stupid sometimes and not knowing stuff. But
I'm so dead.
Either way, I also am so glad that we have improved the pronunciation with me doing phonetic spellings and Devante just reading it how it's phonetically spelled and trying to like guess how to pronounce certain things. And I think it helped to make the flow of the readings a lot easier for Devante, but also like just in general for the listeners as well, because I remember listening to older cases and I'm like, God, like he really had a hard time with some names and he changed it, like sometimes the way he pronounced
I
things.
say like their first name or something like that, or their last name, but whichever was easier.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there was a comment on YouTube, and it was like, well, these names are simple. I'm American. Those names don't exist over here.
Yeah.
Like when I tell you, like, I've never heard of some of these last names before. I've never heard of these last names in my entire life. So I'm pretty sure there are Swedish people who live in the US, live in the States, you know, wherever they are. Sure. I've never met them.
English is so normalized everywhere else, so it's not like foreign for us to like hear the names and stuff like that.
It's more of a one-way street for y'all. Like, you know, English is normal, is a lot more normal as a second language, so English names are not jarring. But then I promise you come to the US and you tell someone your last name, they're gonna be like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we don't have a lot of those names that are common over here, so of course I'm gonna have a stroke while reading them because I've never seen them before, you know.
But we do think like some of them is very easy. Like we had one who was like,
some of them are
Therese, and like very simple names that you can pronounce without having to like phonetically spell it. So you Americanize it anyways, but I feel like it's still a case. It's because it's the name, so it's still fine. But sometimes when there's like super hard last names and stuff, I'm like, okay, I need to phonetically spell this one because like it's even hard for me. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I can't do this either. So, but I think that helped out a lot with the reading and to make sure that you say the same name. And so you guys already, like some of you already know, but just to be clear, we will use the first name because it's easier to pronounce. But we will always make sure that we say the full first and last name. But we will use the first name because it's usually easier to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But we can go on to challenges and areas to improve. So I feel like social media, we kept saying we want to do this, we want to be active on this, we've been wanting to do that for so long, but I feel like we just have not been doing it in neither the first, the second, or the third season, even though we wanted to. We struggled to stay consistent, we struggled to be active on social media. We even thought we would do the streaming thing that never happened. And we apologize for that. We want to do this so badly, and we want to improve that for the fourth season.
Yeah, I also want to just no one's really brought it up, but I just want to let people know in general, like, it's really hard to do a podcast by yourself. When I mean by yourself, I mean like just us two. So for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna peel the curtain back, and I might have done this already. Is Delila does a lot of the writing, so when I jump
writing
on
and research is all on me, basically.
Yeah. So basically all the writing, all the research, because it's easier for her to get access to information because she's on the Swedish side of the internet. So it's a lot easier to pull Scandinavian cases than it is for me to do it. I do a lot of the editing, mixing, mastering, which is why from halfway through season 1, 2, 3, you know, that's why the quality jumped up, because then, you know, I have experience doing it. And for a podcast of this size, usually you wouldn't get the sound quality you would usually get, which still takes time, you know. So I do all the editing, like if I gotta cut anything, cut out mistakes, you know, I gotta normalize your, you know, I'm not getting into details about that stuff, but I do pretty much all the technical stuff on the back end. So it's hard to do that already. Then we both have jobs. You know, we both have other projects that we do, you know, personal projects. We both have lives. And in general, trying to upkeep on social media, because social media requires a lot of attention as well, because we have to post content every day, or that's another set of editing that I might have to do where I have to splice clips and put it on social media like Instagram,
and
TikTok,
they're also
all that
long.
stuff.
We also shortened the episodes this season because it will be easier for Devante to edit and all that. But like, they're still long. It's still like 30 minutes.
It's still like 30 minutes on average. Before, we used to have like episodes that were casually like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and
which that 15 minutes makes a huge difference.
And you have to re-listen to that constantly and clip it. It takes time. I understand. That's why we made them a bit. I decided to make them a bit shorter so it wouldn't take that long. But definitely we want to be like focusing on social media for next season, and we want to reach out new listeners. We want to build a stronger community. We want to make it easier to just connect to you guys, and we always wanted to have that like since first season, honestly. Another thing that,
and I think it's easier before we move on. I think it's easier that we have approximately 3 years worth of episodes, and then let's say season 4 we pull back a little bit so that way we can do more of the social media interacting, because then if you only got to do 2 episodes a month, that means we can have more time to splice some of the older clips, because in total I think we have about approximately 100 or so episodes.
Oh my god.
A couple of them I think are like holiday.
I haven't even realized
a couple of them are like a holiday. Yeah. A couple of them are like holiday episodes, so like they might have not been like a full-blown episodes, not all of them, but we have like 90 something complete full episodes of actual content, which is plenty for someone new. If you wanted to go on a binge and watch from episode 1 when we were absolute dog water all the way till now, then I'm like, you can do that. We have a catalog of stuff you can go back and listen to and kind of grow with us in, your own pace. So I think it's actually a perfect time for us to do that, so that way we can pull in more people and all that stuff, because then we can just interact with you guys more, because we really want to do that. Some of you guys do reach out, like we receive fan mail, which is an option you have to do.
Yeah, I think it's super fun.
My homie Lars, who always comes through with cases at the most random times, but it's always just
Norwegian cases. I'm like, yes, give me more.
Yeah. So Lars is someone who always takes the time to hit us up
since day one.
So that's day one. So we've always wanted to have that interaction and just get you guys involved, because we don't know everything. We try to make sure that we don't pass ourselves off as like these infallible, complete source of knowledge. We're comparing resources, and we want y'all to be involved too, because maybe y'all know something we don't, and that's okay. I like the back and forth. I like having a conversation.
I like education.
Maybe
educate me.
Yeah, I love learning new stuff about the cases, because as you know, we're not afraid to do part 2s or circle back around, or add ups, and talk or about a case. Yeah, we love stuff like that. So it'll give us the ability to do that more frequently and connect with you guys better.
Yes. So another thing that we want to approve is like episode titles, because I remember we had I was like, what should we title this or that and that? Because I feel like in the previous season some of them were like very obvious, like murder cases, bam bam bam, but this season we tried to like add titles that wouldn't really, I guess, spoil too much and stuff, or we weren't sure that the title would be correct. So for example, for the Ulla murder, we labeled him a murderer because he was convicted for it. But, even though the evidence strongly suggested that he was innocent, we felt like, okay, but like, what should we call this in the title then? And we decided that we're gonna name the titles, we'll put in the titles what the people were convicted of, and then in the discussion we can talk whether the person was innocent, or whether the evidence were right, or the process was right, or anything like that. So I would think it's cool if you guys want to listen to the discussions to get your own understanding of the case, or also just another perspective, because the case, I'm trying to write it very objectively with as much information that I can get. So yeah. And another thing I want to say is about the technical issues we'd had this season regarding the whole everything that happened in December, January. Devante's computer, he couldn't edit nothing because it kind of just died on him, and we are sorry for that. It kind of was weird to match with, like, because we pre-record things and it just ended up being like weird because of it. So the cases ended up being like, we didn't really say like Merry Christmas or Happy New Year's or nothing, because we didn't know like which episode would be used for which month, because everything just got fucked up basically. I'm sorry, I said a swear word. I shouldn't have said that. Captain America.
Beauty of editing.
So we want to apologize of the whole shenanigans that were happening. We've had like a little bit, like a lot of technical issues this season, and we just wanted to apologize for that. But yeah, I guess we continue on to the changes. That's going to be upcoming changes in season 4. So, you know, we have had 3 incredible seasons. Lovely, great, amazing. And we also
maybe I should do this. You know, you've been doing a lot of talking this episode.
I don't think I've been breathing. Honestly, I should just sit down and let you do. Sorry, you can do the whole talking now. Yeah.
But yes, changes coming for season 4. You know, we've had 3 seasons. It's been a vibe. It's been a good time. But in reality, we've taken the time to like really think about and process, okay, this is what we need to do in order to make sure we can continue to provide you with exceptional, quality content while still being able to manage our personal lives, careers, other projects, all things of that nature. So we're still very passionate about creating episodes and connecting with everyone and still telling the stories of a lot of these cases, especially because some of these cases are unsolved. And I feel like the victims' families should have episodes like this that put them in the spotlight, because there's been instances of cases being solved later. It's really important. We still want to make sure we can do it in a way that doesn't burn us out and, consume every ounce of our time. So for this reason, or these sets of reasons, we're going to cut this season short specifically. But also, when it comes to the next season as well, when it comes to maintaining like a weekly release schedule, that's not going to really be a situation we're going to be able to keep up with. It's not sustainable for us at this particular stage. You know, we're a very small podcast. It's only the 2 of us doing a lot of the stuff.
We only duo.
And it's really teeny tiny, so it does take a huge toll on us to do that weekly. The fact that we even did it for 3 years consistently is still
crazy, incredible.
That's incredible. So
mental
that, we were machines for 3 years, but just at some point it's something we just can't sustain. So basically, to make sure that we can continue to make the episodes, we decided to reduce the amount that we will release on a 30-day basis, a monthly basis. So essentially for season 4, the release schedule is going to be more than likely twice a month, but occasionally maybe it might be one, but twice a month is going to be the majority of the time. So that way, hey, every 2 weeks you have time to catch up on the podcast. So instead of weekly, it'll be bi-weekly. It'll allow us to be more active on Scandinavian crimes on TikTok. It'll allow us to be more active on Scandinavian crimes when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It'll allow us to be a lot more consistent, because a couple of you did go over there as well for the videos I was dropping. I think I dropped 3 videos, but adding that with the podcast and other things, it is impossible to do that. So it'll allow us the time to do so. But yeah, it'll also just give us more time to invest in research as well.
I need the time for research. I need to try time to write it. You need the time to edit it, and to just get high quality content, and so you guys have something nice to listen to.
Yeah, we haven't really officially figured out if we're going to just try and compensate a little bit by making slightly longer episodes. So I'm just throwing an example. I'm not saying this is an absolute. We still haven't figured it out yet. But maybe instead of 30, 31 minutes, I don't know if we're going to compensate by making it 40. We don't know yet. But once we get there, we'll let y'all know. Y'all know. Y'all be able to tell. But in general, it's just been such a vibe, and we appreciate y'all for even being here for 3 seasons.
Thank
y'all have
you.
Been the bestest. We've been consistently growing in terms of listens, downloads. It's just been a consistent uptick, And we couldn't have even gotten to this point without any of y'all, even the haters. I will say that, even the haters. It's tough, you know. Like I said, we're not getting paid to do this. And just to answer, I think there was another question. It wasn't even on the Spotify thing, but just so people understand when it comes to content creation, because I know in Sweden there are people who do content creation, but I think culturally it's a little different. I'm American. Everyone wants to be a content creator, but it's harder to do stuff like this when you're not getting paid because, you know, obviously we have bills. You know, you got to pay rent, phone bill. Some people might have children, you know, whatever the case may be for your situation. But in our case, we don't have children, but we still have bills to pay. And getting paid for something like this allows you to focus on it and do it to the best of your ability and make sure that it's completely accurate and you can just lock in. So it's tough not being in a position where, you know, we're doing that. We're not saying we're in this strictly for the money, but it does allow us to give us the ability.
We love doing this. We think it's really fun, interesting. We love discussing about the cases, learning about cases and law and everything. So like we wouldn't have done it otherwise because we're doing it for free. Yeah. We wouldn't have done it otherwise if we didn't love it. So
for 3 years, we did it for free. And we know that a lot of podcasts that are in the Nordic and Scandinavian region, a lot of them are they stop putting out episodes for pretty much similar reasons, you know, so we don't want to just stop. And I think we have the most seasons so far than most of the podcasts from that part of the world.
I think so, yeah.
So, I might be wrong about that, but I think we're still one of the higher end of still consistently going. But either way, we're trying our best to do what we can while not getting paid for it. We appreciate that you
have understanding for that, really. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And we're very grateful, and we love you guys, and we're going to strive to make the best content and interesting cases and discussions, and also be more active on YouTube with the YouTube uploads as well, videos. There we go. Yeah. I couldn't find the word. I was just like buggering. Okay, me and my talking. Interesting.
I'm done. Also, real quick.
Oh yeah, fan mail.
So before we get directly into a specific fan mail, we do have the feature where if you go to the podcast episode, you can leave fan mail. Now, we can't reply directly to the fan mail, unfortunately, but what you can do is if you leave a message, we'll cover it in the episode. That's something that's going to happen for the next season as well. We'll have a segment just for fan mail. So like my homeboy Lars, for example, you know, he'll hit us up on Messenger, which that's perfectly fine too. We have nothing against that. But also it's easier as well when people can directly contact us via fan mail, because then it goes to the same platform in which we're hosting the podcast. So then we'll be able to see everything in all in one location. So if you want to do that, if you want to get your fan mail on an episode, you want to get your comment on an episode, and you want to get it read out loud, then you can do that. Send us some fan mail. It's going to be in every bio for the episode, and it's already there. So you can do it right now if you want.
But please, if you want it to be read out, just write that you want it to be read out. Because if you don't want it to be read out loud, if you don't want it to be read out loud because, I don't know, maybe it's something you're just not comfortable with, just put that in the message, so we
won't add it to the the reading out loud part.
Consent is important.
But to get into the fan mail that we received, this is April 28th. So let's get into it. It says, "Hi there, Devante and Delila. My name is Juno. I'm a senior at Black Duck High School. So I'm reaching out because for our final true crime and literature project this year, we have to create our very own podcast, 10 to 15 minutes long, about a crime. Me and my partner, Sebastian, chose to do a case you guys covered about a year ago, the 1987 Viking Sally murder with Klaus and Bettina. I was wondering if you have any tips to share about something like this, since, well, I've been doing most of the work on the project and it's quite difficult for me. Haha. Thank you. Best wishes, Juno." So we picked this episode specifically because obviously we're communicating some of the challenges in terms of creating a podcast.
Yeah, so this is actually perfect for you guys.
This is perfect. We wanted to time this specifically for this comment. But I'll answer the technical aspects, and then Delila can do the more of the writing research and stuff like that. But since I'm already talking, I'll just do my part. The technical aspect is very difficult because everyone wants to succeed and do a good job at making a podcast episode. So editing can be very difficult, especially I do the speaking as well. I do a lot of the reading. So you have to be really good at reading, and you also have to just know how to kind of have a flow to your voice. You know, it engages people a lot more, and you know, just has a certain feel to it.
And like how you speak as well, because like, do you want to sound like a news anchor, or do you want to sound like a reader, like audiobook reader?
You have to establish kind of like what kind of tone you want, because you know, when you're reading, you can hear when sometimes you're reading, and even I'm guilty of it sometimes. Like sometimes I'm just so locked in, I might slip up, but I try to make it sound like it's a conversation. So that's things you want to keep in mind for an episode in terms of pulling your audience in. Try and sound conversational. Try and make it feel like you're in the room with them and you're just talking to them and just kind of ranting about, you know, something you heard. That's the best way to get the best result. Technical wise, like I said, editing can be very difficult, but the best thing to do is take your time. Don't rush it. Feel it out. You know, just make sure everything is clear, concise, and make sure you try to get rid of as much fluff as possible. Only put what's important for people to understand, and people often are smart enough to at least fill in the blanks if, you know, there's some small details that are not super relevant to the overall case itself. So that's what I would say on that regard. If you're going to do any speaking, any editing, take your time, communicate, be clear. Delila.
Yes. For the actual, like, it's very important to have a script and how you want it to be written. Usually I have the layout of like having like an introduction or background, and then the actual investigation or murder or whatever incident there is in the case, and then the trial part, and I'll finish off with like the aftermath of what happened after everything was done. So every case is different, and but the layout is basically like that. So we research, have like a timeline of like when things happened and when the articles happened, and if you want to be technical, you can also write where you got the source from, but we don't do that because we want it to sound more like a story, so it's easier to like understand everything. So I think having a timeline, know where you get your sources, know when it got when the article was released, will give a good like timeline of everything.
But continue doing what you're doing. I know Black Duck High School is what, in Minnesota, I think.
Oh, that's
Minnesota?
cool. Like yeah. Good luck with the project.
Good luck with the project. And obviously, once again, if you have any more questions, we are open to answering them as best as possible, because, you know, we're all about the youth. And, you know, I'm back in the day when we were in high school, you know, we were, you know, that was what that was like 13 years ago.
That's crazy.
I was a senior in high school 13 years ago.
Oh my God.
It's such a crazy time. Like, it still feels like I'm still like kind of 18, but not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, just,
Forever
you know, good luck with the project.
young.
And yeah, that's what that song hits a little harder when
forever young.
But yes, it is. Just take your time, have a good time, and good luck with the project. Reach out if you have any questions. It's all love. And once again, we appreciate all of you guys for listening to our episodes on the podcast and showing love and just consistently being a vibe. You know, don't let anyone tell you any different. You guys are just vibey. And
we wish you a good summer, and we'll see you next season.
Wish you a good summer. Enjoy it. Stay safe. Please learn from the U.S. in terms of our mistakes. It's hell over here right now. And yes, be better, world. Be better. Everyone seems to be learning, but be better. Have a lovely summer. Stay safe. And we shall see you in September. Bye.
Bye.